draw, it's not the score, but again, the fact that we have a second consecutive draw today is great news. It shows that IRCC is clearing, the numbers, the candidates out there, big numbers going on. So just let me just drive in here and we can take it. And also do stay with me. We will be discussing about the new occupation and category-based express entry updates, which IRCC is planning this spring. So let's dive in with and check in the express entry draw. So very interesting. It's a big draw, and if you see this draws here, so today on the 18th of January, IRCC had issued another 5,500 ITAs invitation to apply. Today at 4:13, the draw was today at 4:13 UTC, and the CRS of the lowest candidates was 507. Again, it's not just a score. Obviously, we would love to see the scores dipping down, but today, it's another draw and 5,500. So if we just look into the numbers in number of applications in the pool, so 601 to 1,200, it is actually 614 left, and about 501 to 600, there are 198. So next week, if IRCC is going to do the draw, right, hopefully more draws coming up. We missed many draws in December, so hopefully if more draws coming up this month, we will definitely see the scores going down 500 or probably even I would probably say maybe about 495 to 500. That would be wonderful to start the new year with. So congratulations to all the guys here who have received their ITA. So, still big numbers in the 451 to 500 zone. There's 65,296, if we have consecutive draws, 5,500 big draws for the next 10, 15 draws, I'm sure the CRS score will definitely go down to 470, 480. And I think we still have, this is only January, right? So February, March, and April, by spring, we probably will have, there's occupation or category draws, what IRCC has explained. So I hope we will have some interesting updates coming up. But I was going through an update which was posted yesterday. There was a stakeholders review IRCC has supposed to have conducted, and following the stakeholder meeting, 16th was the closing date for this, and then on the 17th it was posted yesterday. It was posted yesterday. We will discuss and check in the details, but again, no surprises. This is what we have been hearing IRCC would do in, and this is what we actually see here. So if you see this was the statement which was posted yesterday, 17th January. So enhancing express entry through the category-based selection to better meet Canada's evolving economic needs. I always considered express entry. Obviously, it was a very predictive model based on the CRS scores. However, complete to previous immigration programs, there was always kind of disconnect here with the industry, especially with the shortage occupation. So I was always wondering when there would be a correction come in, and we see this is happening. But in a good sense, it's still the same. So there will be still the Canadian Federal Skilled Workers Program, Federal Trades Program, and also the Canadian Experience Class. So the only thing is, within these candidates, IRCC will have category-based selection. So this was, if you see this, category express so IRCC has mentioned that they did consultations and it closed on 16 January. Well, again, probably they might have made consultations with the provincial governments or with industries, but again, there's not really much information on on this consultation, but it was actually posted. Before the consultation, it was not posted, but after the consultations, it kind of was that we have completed the consultation. So interesting situation here. So if you look at, as we know, the government of Canada, Liberal government, uh, has a vision to increase the immigration. And as we know, the immigration plans, very ambitious plans, which which has never been done previously in Canada. So by 2025, Canada, the Liberal government plans to bring in more than 500,000, 500,000 immigrants. And if you see, there's an increase in the economic category, which is the federal high skilled, which includes the federal skilled worker program, federal trades program, and also the Canadian experience class. Now there's almost about 82,000, and then 109,000 and 114,000. So interesting, interesting numbers here. And also for the provincial program, for all the provinces, not not big considering the numbers, but again, still there is an increase. It's 105,000, 110,000, and 117,500. So this was the immigration plan, and they are going on the same path, but again, focused on the economic needs of the country. So it's basically an initial introduction, and how skilled immigrants are helping to address Canada's economic shortages here. As we know, one of the reasons, I think probably Canada is one of the few countries which are focused on immigration, because the birth rates are declining compared to the US, compared to the other countries. Canada has an agenda for immigration, and many international students come here knowing that Canada is officially giving a path for immigration, for international pathways for immigration, pathways for international students. So, in Canada, birth rates are decreasing currently at 1.43 children per woman in 2021, down to 1.661. The share of the population, age population 65 and older, is increasing as the share of the working age population is following. So basically, many people who, majority of the population in Canada is aging, and there is a huge share of older people who are working, and the current worker to retire ratio is 4:1 and is expected to fall to 2:1 in less than 20 years. So this is a huge pressure on the social programs, because the government gets the money from the taxes, from the people who are working and paying the taxes. So without the working population, it is a huge stress on the government. So this is again the general introduction about what the government has actually plans for the immigration, and how immigration is important for the economic growth of Canada. And if we just go down here, this is interesting. So the IRCC has provided key insights about express entry. So basically, based on the express entry, as we know, it is it's the immigration point-based system for immigration for Canada. So if you look at IRCC states that the profile of the candidates who are issued invitations to apply between 2019 and 2021, it basically says primary occupations for majority of the applicants were food service supervisors, administrative assistants, financial auditors and consultants, retail sales supervisors, software engineers and designers, professional occupations in advertising, marketing and public relations, cooks, IT professionals, interactive media developers, information systems analysts and consultants, user support technicians, restaurant and food service managers, administrative officers. So, these were the primary occupations and invited previously. And obviously, majority of the people here are highly skilled students who are very young. If we see that 64% of the invitations were sent to candidates who are 20 to 29 years old, and 19% to 30 to 34. The CRA score obviously was very high, and unless the candidates had excellent English skills and also a PNP, getting over 490, 500 was pretty much difficult. And also French obviously is a big advantage. So candidates, so basically majority, as we see, is almost about 70, 83% of the applicants or candidates who received invitations to apply were age 34 or less, because Canada needs young people, right? So what is happening what is going to happen next? So the IRCC Minister Sean Racer advised that they will be doing category-based selections. And as we know that, the new bill which was passed gives the minister authority to pull up the candidates and based on the category, what is required. So on June 23rd, 2022, the legislative changes that allow express entry to better select candidates able to help meet specific economic goals will receive royal assent. This, we know all this. So basically what it is going to be is that IRCC will select immigrants based on key attributes that support identified economic priorities such as education credentials, work experience, or official language knowledge. So this is very important. This is basically, this statement is giving us an idea as to what we can expect with the future express entry draws. So if we look here for the future express entry draws, so category-based selection will include education credentials. So this is basically for people who have specific education, right? So they might be, IRCC might pull up people who are from nursing, huge healthcare. There's no question about it, right? There's a huge shortage about healthcare. So healthcare opportunities, definitely, education, people from education background with healthcare, people with education background in IT, information technology, as we see from the previous year, right? So these were all the professionals, professions what were, occupations what were invited, who were invited in the previous express entry draw. So education credentials, very important. Work experience, Canadian work experience, definitely big. Official language knowledge. So, these things are very important, right? So based on education, based on work experience and official knowledge, French definitely will be a big advantage. So guys, if you are, planning to apply to Canada, you are in Canada, your English skills are low, or you do not have, many freshers after bachelor's come in and they do not have the overseas international work experience. So guys, please work on your English, work on French if possible. That will add additional points for you as well. So as discussed, candidates who meet the particular category. So based on this, each for this is, for example, what IRCC states is we could create a category for those with work experience in a particular occupation. So it might be IT, it might be healthcare, it might be hospitality, it might be financial professional. So occupation would be the criteria, or with a particular education background. So people with a specific particular education might get invitations, or a category that include multiple. So it can be a combination, such as international students. Again, yeah, it's very clear. So they might be, candidates, international students who graduated with a particular degree and hold a certain language level. So it might be a combination. It might be a combination of students who are from, IT or business, finance specific industries, and they graduate a degree here in Canada and they have language skills or particular work experience. So they'll be ranked. It's very complex, interesting to see how they would do it, but they will be ranked within this category. And category-based selection is limited to candidates who qualify for the federal program. So basically it is the same. IRCC will still continue to follow the same Canadian Experience Class, Federal Skilled Worker Program, and the Federal Skilled Trades. Okay, so this is the three programs will be there. All the candidates will have to qualify with one of the programs, and they have to be eligible to get into the express entry, right? So these are the categories. So from these categories, IRCC will issue category-based targeted draws. So it will comprise a portion of overall invitations to apply. An invitation based on the CRS code and individual programs will remain, right? So what it states is, for example, like today we had we had 5,500 draws and the CRS code was 507. So in future, there would be all program draw or a Canadian Experience Class draw or a Federal Skilled Worker Program draw. But within these categories, right, there would be a portion of invitations issued to applicants who have specific category, maybe education, maybe work experience, maybe the language skills, or maybe Ukrainians, right? We see some of the PNP programs which are specifically focused on Ukrainians. There are Ukrainians here in Canada on a 3-year, Canada-Ukraine authorization for emergency travel. Almost about 700 to 800,000, I believe, work permits were issued, and about 300,000 Ukrainians are already here in Canada. That's what if I'm not mistaken, I've read in some of the reports. So this is basically, the whole program will be the same, and within a general draw, there might be a targeted draw within a general draw. For example, 5,500 was the overall number of ITS issued. Maybe 3,000 to 4,000 would be the general draw. And within that draw, there probably would be, additional invitations with a category-based target. I think because of that, the CRS course might actually stick on after May. But I think if we continue on with, the current trend, what is happening, and before the IRC starts the category-based selection, CRS goal should fall down if we continue the current tendency without the targeted draws. So the process of determining new categories for category-based selection will be determined by collecting data and analyzing labor market information, in addition to receiving feedback from partners, including the provinces, territories, and key stakeholders across this country. So again, it is very brief, generalized information. The category will be based on all the data from the provinces and also the businesses. And I hope, a lot of things keep on changing when it comes to the industries, right? In the US, we see there's a huge tech layoff. So again, might be slow, with the tech programs. If that happens, thankfully, we don't really have a situation here in Canada like the US, but still, I hope there will be, there'll be many draws for tech people. Things are much better in Canada than compared to the US. So what would be the proposed priorities and categories for the selection, right? So this year we focused on meeting economic goals and priorities set out in the minister's mandate letter, and the government of Canada, and by the government of Canada, addressing chronic labor market shortages and positioning for the future, and supporting francophone immigration and economic growth. So big time, as I said, chronic labor shortages. So for all the occupations where there is a shortage, that will be the focus for the categories. And obviously, guys, if you have French knowledge, will be a big advantage, because Canada is supporting francophone immigration. Okay, so well, that's general information. I'll save the link here, and we can take it forward. Interesting possible categories, if we can just see priority. And again, what are the possible categories here? Selecting candidates based on the work experience in particular occupation or sector. And as we discussed, where is the shortage? Healthcare, IT, finance occupations, probably, hopefully, based on the data of the previous. So possible categories here, international student graduates. So there's a special, there's this possible category, right? When we had last year, when there was a big hopes about the TR2PR program and the new, the Surrey MP, Mr. Honorable Sarai, when he proposed this, the priority also was to provide a pathway for international students to get the permanent residence. So we are hoping to see that there will be, pathways for international students. So the international student program allows foreign nationals to enter Canada to study. International students bring in benefits to the institution where they study, the communities in which they live, and also the national economy. Almost about 20 international students contribute 20 billion Canadian dollars to the Canadian economy. And, as I've said, many international students are young, and this is what Canada needs, young people. And, a potential category in 2021, there were 88,000 international students transitioned to permanent residence through the express entry. And compared to previous years, right, 80% increase in 2017. A lot of, many people complain about the immigration system in Canada and how people are suffering, guys. We compared to UK, compared to US, Canada is much better, right? I always advise international students who contact us, especially from South India, they're all stuck onto the US, and I asked them, do you understand the immigration process in the US? And end of the day, they have no clue. US has only 20,000 H-1B visas for students who are applying a master graduates, and 60,000, 65,000 for general. This is compared to the volume of international students coming in. What is 20,000 to the US? US is one of the largest, probably the destination of choice for international students, and just 20,000 quota for students who graduated masters, right? Compared to what we have here, we almost have 88,000 student transition to express entry through, for permanent residents through this express entry. We're not talking about the PNP programs as well. There are many students who have gone through PNP nominations, express entry. So big numbers coming in. And also, if you look at UK as well, you need an employer to support with the process, high-skilled worker visa post-study, and then also you have to work for 5 years to apply for ILR or PR, permanent residence, to remain. So, compared to that, Canada till now had a very stable immigration. Obviously, during the COVID, things have been very difficult, but still, TR to PR, there was a draw with just 75 points, and the government did the best they can in this situation. But thankfully, again, for all those people who complain, guys, look at US, and then look at Canada, and you will understand that Canada is much better compared to the pathways for international students and immigrants here. Okay. So, well, that's my personal thought on it, but again, we live in the freedom of speech, and you guys, whoever is complaining about immigration, it's still much better than UK and US, right? So it clearly says about the international students. So a potential category for selection in the express entry focused on international student graduates could respond more directly to critical shortages that persist across various sectors and occupation. A possible category could be, for example, graduates with a degree or diploma in demand fields from a designated learning institution. So again, designated learning institutions, I would definitely advise students. There are some students, obviously, from some countries who go to private institutions. Guys, focus on institutions, DLIs, public institutions. You will get your postgraduate work permit. And again, the degrees and diplomas, what you graduate from public institutions might actually be one of the categories as well, right? So it makes sense to study in a public institution, and after graduation, you might be lucky if there is a category for a degree or a diploma in demand fields, right? There are temporary workers. There's a possible category: temporary workers, temporary foreign workers to permanent residents, right? There are many, IT workers here, and also if you see, in temporary workers are important source of labor and talent for Canadian employers and industries experiencing difficulties attracting Canadians. Obviously, we know the agricultural and also the mushroom industry and many other low-skilled trades. There's a huge unemployment and high job vacancies as well, and also in highly skilled as well, right? Information technology jobs as well. So there might be, a category for transitioning temporary foreign workers to permanent residents. And if you see in 2021, approximately 168,600 individuals transition from temporary worker status to permanent residents, which is 64% of the economic category. Huge numbers as well, right? So it's interesting, but again, it is what we clearly had. IRCC clearly, Mr. Minister Sean Fraser did, comment on this many times in the news media, and we see an official update finally here. So what we will see in the future express entry is here. At least we have some snippets and we understand until the program. Well, I'm interesting, very interesting to see how the CRS, how the rankings will be for the individual categories. Pretty much as of now, it was okay with the general draws, but again, if it will be the categories, right? So interesting to see how they would, especially if there is a mix of, uh, you know, candidates categories like education, work experience, language. So I hope, like what happened in the December, right, last year, I hope there'll not be any tech issues, and things will work out for the IRCC and for all the students. So guys, interesting times ahead. So when is this going to happen? So hopefully in the spring, and that's probably May to July. We will see some new updates coming in, but thankfully today we had another draw, and if IRCC continues for the next 6 to 8 draws, I'm sure the CRS score will come down, and going forward there will be interesting times with occupations category targeted draws. So let's see, fingers crossed. But again, just to confirm, we will still have the same programs, the federal programs, the PNPO programs. So nothing has changed here except that they will be targeted draws within the main draws. And obviously, there's always been a priority for international students. Education with DLIs will be very important. Canadian education will be very important for international students studying here. Canadian work experience, definitely big plus. So interesting times, but again, there's not really been any, I would say, disappointing, I would say, warnings out there. So hopefully things will be fine. So we're looking forward to main take, and for all the students who are struggling now, unfortunately, with with low scores, please work on your English, and also make sure that if there is a possibility, please improve your French language skills. Easy said than done, but again, this is what we have to do. So, and focus. Many international students come here. CIP, we have many international students. We have offices in India, Latin America, Brazil. We have offices. Last year we started in the Philippines, and we have processing teams in Egypt and in Pakistan. So students picking up from many different regions of the world. So good luck to all you guys, and stay tuned for further updates. If you have any queries regarding your study or immigration, please reach out. We provide free consultation every day in the morning from 9 to 12:30, 1 o'clock. I'm there usually for about 3 to 4 hours, Monday to Friday. You'll find the link in a Facebook or in a WhatsApp group. So please reach out to us. Okay, so good luck, guys, and congratulations to all the candidates who received the ITA today. Second draw this month after in the new year, and I hope IRCC continues to keep the momentum. Right, every month another 20,000 draws that will clear high scores, and hopefully in the next 2 to 3 months things will get better with lower CRS scores. So good luck to all you guys, and thank you for joining in. Take care. Bye.